Hey, I'm Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com.
Hey, this is Jason Wrobel from the J-Ro Show.
And we have been challenged by our friends Chris and John from the Vegan Zombie to do the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, and this is our response. We really wanted to take the time to explore what ALS is and our hesitations on doing the challenge, because we definitely have some. And we feel like not enough people are really talking about it. What we see are a lot of 30-second fun videos of people dumping ice over their head, and that's not what we want to do with our response here.
Yeah. So both of us obviously wanting to understand what this is, why it's been so popular, and why so much money, over $50 million at this point, have been raised. We did some research, we talked about our feelings, and we want to share with you some of the tidbits of what this is, what's been happening, and our personal philosophy of what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So we hope that this will be really educational for you, and you can get a broader perspective on what's really happening. Mm-hmm. So we have so many notes here. We could probably spend 20 minutes talking about it, but we're just going to rapid fire them out for you. And if you want more information, feel free to ask. Maybe I'll put up a post on EcoVeganGal.com so that you can get more information if you're interested. So first of all, ALS, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is a rapidly progressive, invariably fatal neurological disease that attacks the nerve cells, the neurons in our brain and spinal cord that are responsible for controlling voluntary muscles. This results in zero quality of life for ALS patients. They lose the ability to walk, to talk, to breathe on their own, to swallow, and they basically are causing a person to become a prisoner in their own body. It's estimated that 20 to 30,000 people in the US have ALS, and there are about 15 new cases a day, which leads to about 5,600 new cases per year. And it generally develops between the ages of 40 and 70 and affects more men than women, although it can definitely affect people much younger than that.
Now the life expectancy part, we actually watched a video yesterday that Whitney showed me, that the link is in the description field below, of this really deeply moving young man, 26 years old, talking about how he was recently diagnosed, showing him doing the Ice Bucket Challenge, and then the footage of him caretaking for his mother, who has lost all control of her limbs, who has to be fed through a tube in her stomach. And he was talking about the life expectancy, which is generally 2 to 5 years after the time of diagnosis. So people are living very short lives after they're diagnosed. And I just think it was something that moved me in such a way, both of us, because all of these videos prior to this, you didn't actually see someone experiencing the symptoms of this disease. Right. And to actually see it in plain view, someone who's going through this, it was shocking and moving to witness that.
Oh, absolutely. Also, because the cause of ALS is not known and there isn't a cure right now, I've researched a variety of factors that can contribute it, like smoking, exposure to lead, environmental exposure like toxic or infectious agents. There's all sorts of interesting information out there, but there's still no one idea. I've also found that for example, this 26-year-old, it runs in his family. His grandmother and his mother had it, but it's actually very rare for it to be genetic. So it's just such a new thing for us to explore, which is why this Ice Bucket Challenge has helped with raising the money, with bringing out the awareness, and I think that's really fantastic.
Yeah, and the question though is why are people doing it? Because when this first started, we were both like, what is the big deal about this? Because all we were seeing were those 30-second videos of, wow, Michael Jordan's doing it.
Or 15
all these
seconds, just quick.
It was all these celebrities, and then when the celebrities doing it, it kind of blew up.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is kind of give you the idea and the background of why did this thing start? How did it catch fire? So we found some interesting things. So it actually began, Whitney found that, I think it was a Wall Street Journal article, that professional golfers started this last year trying to raise money for different pet organizations, pet charities.
So it wasn't actually just about ALS, this whole thing, which was really fascinating. I think it caught on at some point in July, so over the past month, it suddenly became a turn towards ALS, and people started associating pouring ice over your body to simulate the experience of having ALS, which is also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. Although I feel like people make it more of a joke in general with these videos. They're not really trying to feel it. They're really just trying to have a shock factor, or I don't know. It's such an interesting approach to raising awareness. Mm-hmm. But as was pointed out in that video that we've mentioned, it has become kind of irritating because it's everywhere and everyone's doing it, but otherwise it wouldn't have been so successful. So the fact that it has become irritating to some of us is a good sign that so many of us know about it and we're talking about it. We're getting fired up about it. And I think if we get fired up for the right reasons, this can be very successful. Some people have had concerns about it being wasteful, but I have found that it's not that wasteful in general. In fact, we waste more water when we're taking a one minute in the shower, or washing our dishes in the dishwasher, cleaning our clothes in a washer, leaving the faucet on when we're brushing our teeth. That wastes gallons and gallons of water, and some people do that every single day. So pouring water over your head, even though I was hesitant for that reason, I've really found it's not that big of a deal. Although we should definitely be conservative with our water, because there's a huge amount of our population in the world. In fact, 1.1 billion people in the world have no access to sources of clean water. So I really urge you to be careful. And one creative way people have gotten around this is they'll pour water over their head in the garden or something.
Yeah, water your plants, right?
Yeah, exactly. Although most videos, people are just pouring it on pavement, which is frustrating. At least stand in a bucket or something, right? But we really want to get into our biggest hesitation with doing the Ice Bucket Challenge, and that's been around animal testing.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we've received on social media is from the vegan community, animal lovers in general, is, oh, I don't want to do this because we're finding out that the ALS Foundation advocates animal testing and they're opposed to it. But when you dig into a few layers below, you're seeing kind of the history of animal testing. And what Whitney found, and this is really interesting, I didn't even know this, is the FDA requires that a specific amount of animal testing in any drug that's going to be released to the public take place. But this is mind-blowing, okay? Because some people are like, oh, we need animal tests for drugs to be effective. You hear that argument a lot. But shockingly, the FDA statistic states that 92 out of 100 drugs that succeed in animal trials fail in human tests. That's less than 1 out of every 10 drugs. Because
it's really difficult to match the toxicities from different species. So what might work on an animal or what might fail on an animal might not have the same effect on a human. In fact, that's usually the case. And we never hear this. People never talk about this.
Right.
So it's so important that we know that animal testing is not only unnecessary, but it's oftentimes not even worth it.
Yeah, I mean, that brings up for me a generation prior to ours. I don't know if you've ever heard of the drug called thalidomide, but thalidomide was a drug that was given to women for morning sickness. Went through all the trials, passed the animals, they released it to the public, women started taking this, and that's when babies were being born with flippers for hands and feet. No, literally, you can Google this. This has been going on for decades, and what we want to address is the ineffectiveness of this.
That's just one case out of many. In fact, a really phenomenal resource, if you want to learn more, is called Thanking the Monkey by Karen Dawn. I poured over this last night while researching for this video, and I learned so much, and again, I'll try to include those notes on the site. We did want to bring this up because most of the money that's going into ALS research is being spent on attempts to create animals with genetic mutations that produce symptoms that mimic ALS. They're investigating a range of models, especially on rodents, doing drug-like compounds, gene therapy approaches, antibodies, and cell-based therapies. So a lot of this money that is being spent by this Ice Bucket Challenge, all this money that's being raised, is being spent on animals, and that's a huge concern for people that are concerned about animal rights like us. And I think that Pam Anderson made a great point. She said, trying to cure human disease by relying on outdated and ineffective animal experiments isn't only cruel, it's a grave disservice to people who desperately need cures.
Absolutely.
So here we are using outdated tests on animals which aren't working in a lot of cases, and people are suffering because that's taking away our attention from trying things that could work.
So in essence, we're wasting a lot of that money that could be perhaps reappropriated to more functional tests, which we're going to talk about now, things that may be more effective by really going into the genetics, into the molecular structure, and actually trying things out differently from a scientific basis. So luckily, there are alternatives now that science is finally starting to recognize that can be more effective.
So they've got molecular and cellular biology and computing power. You can actually use robots that can test things, which can be so much more effective than us.
And there's in vitro, there's also stem cell research, which I'm sure maybe you've heard about, especially in the past 10 years, of isolating human stem cells or actually growing them in a laboratory and actually using human tissues and cells to research on.
One thing I think is really important to bring up that a lot of people don't talk about is human volunteers.
Yes.
Maybe that kid over there screaming, "No, I don't want to be a human volunteer."
Someone's opposing it next door.
Exactly.
Hardcore.
And I apologize, those are my neighbors over there. But men, they feel like some terminally ill people would be guinea pigs. And I think this is an interesting standpoint to bring up.
Let's say test subjects.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, but they're guinea pigs in quotes here. If regulations would allow it, but regulations won't even allow people that are voluntarily wanting to be test subjects there. And this was actually an interesting thing because some terminally ill people would want to try it because there might even be a chance that they would survive and get better.
100%.
Right? So if they know that they're going to die, why wouldn't they want to, give their life to the rest of the life that they have to some good cause by choice? And there's so many different things that we could talk about here. If we urge the FDA to change drug approval laws, I think that that's really important. And also reaching out to lawmakers to ask them to start funding research for this. I'm sorry, that's so distracting over there, but we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. It's actually perfect timing in a lot but to have someone screaming about the horrors of animal testing.
It is actually well done. Well done.
Yeah,
You'll get paid later.
Yes.
But if you look at some of the organizations, because the big thing is rather than making a blanket statement that not supporting this cause, right? Because some people have said, like, I'm not going to have anything to do with it. But there's always 2 or 3 sides to every story. So what we want to talk about is which organizations don't test on animals. If you want to support ALS funding, if you want to put your money and your energy into something that doesn't, utilize animals, we do have some alternatives.
Sadly, if you go to a site like humaneseal.org, which will actually allow you to search for organizations that aren't testing on animals, according to their database, there aren't any approved ALS charities that don't test on animals. However, I found this great site through a number of sources, like PCRM did a phenomenal article on this all. It's Compassionate Care ALS, which provides a variety of holistic resources for those affected by ALS and their families. And I would say this would be the #1 place that is worth putting your money towards because they have so much heart and they're not doing any animal testing at all. You can also look into non-drug treatments, natural treatments. In fact, the Harvard School of Public Health found that individuals with a high intake of antioxidants, in particular from brightly colored vegetables with vitamin E in them, may be less likely to develop ALS. So if we were to put more of our money into studies like that, that's where I'd want to see it go.
Prevention.
Right? Food is your healthcare, right? I mean, if we can prove that more and educate more people on that, amazing. We don't know if that's going to be the solution, but that's why this research needs to be done, right?
Absolutely.
There's also, you could try to find a local group that maybe does home visits or hospice care for people with ALS. There's a variety of different places that you might want to mention here. These 2 that have alternatives to animal testing.
Yeah, so the Johns Hopkins Center for Alternatives to Animal Testing, you can just Google that because it's kind of a...
We'll provide the link in the description.
And also the National Anti-Vivisection Society. That actually is a wealth of information. Years ago when I was doing a lot of lectures and I was an activist going around and talking about alternatives to using animals, that's been a great resource for many years. The interesting thing about all this, I think, is just providing new ways of thinking about this, right? Because Albert Einstein has a great quote, and that is, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So if we're putting our money and we're giving our charity and we're being generous to things that are trying these outdated methods and these old ways of doing things, how can we expect progress?
Right. Great point.
How can we expect progress?
You can also donate money to animal rescues. I mean, if you want to do the Ice Bucket Challenge and say your money is going towards this, or use it to raise awareness, right? I still think it's important for us to take this and really put our focus on ALS, but there's certainly plenty of places. In fact, knowing that the Ice Bucket Challenge originated from people that were trying to raise money for pet charities, maybe you want to bring it back full circle and donate your money there. You could donate your money to water organizations like the Water Project at cruelty-free.org somebody brought up. There's another site, AAVS, I forget what that one is. I'll put that in the link below. Also, just simply sending a message to ALS, emailing them, calling them, writing on social media, urging them to stop their testing on their animal testing, I think is so important. If you feel like you're not ready to spend the money or you don't want to spend your money on any of these causes, do something, right? Start getting the word out there and kindly ask for a change for the lawmakers, as I mentioned earlier. Anything that you can do to just spread the word. Share this video if you'd like to get more information out there. And for those of you who have been thinking about donating money and want to start doing something, I've been thinking the same thing. At this time, I haven't felt like I have a ton of money available within my own means at this point to donate, but I will be donating something, and I probably will be sending some money to Compassionate Care. I did also want to take some action and encourage you to take action, so I'm actually going to be donating 100% of the profits of the Food is My Healthcare shirts if you use the code ICEBUCKET, and I'll include more information in the link down below. So if you buy one of these shirts, 100% of the profit that I receive will be going into the organization of your choice. So what you can do is you can use that coupon code and then send me a message, let me know what charity you want to support. And not only will you get one of these shirts, but you'll also get the satisfaction of knowing that the money went towards a really good cause, and I would really appreciate that because that would allow me to put more money into it and well beyond what I currently have of my own means. So if you want to take advantage of that, go for it. Otherwise, you can just donate money. I encourage you. It's not about the shirts. It's really just finding a creative way to put some more money into it, and I want to help as much as I possibly can.
So we're not going to be pouring ice over our heads right now.
What do you mean?
Are we? We're not going to be doing that. Even though we got called out, right? We're going to bring it back full circle, back to Chris and John.
Yeah.
I also got called out by Susan Getty O'Brien from Hail Mary. A lot of people called me out this week. But I think it's important that we keep this thread going, because us talking about our personal philosophies and alternatives for progressing this research and this awareness is going to spill out hopefully into some of our other influential friends in the community. So
I want to hold on a second. You just skirted over what you're going to do.
What do you mean?
I just said what I'm going to do to make a difference. So what's your plan? What would you like to do?
You're putting me on the spot because I don't know. I don't know. Do
you want to donate to any of these organizations, and why or why not? Sounds like you don't. So what is your hesitation there? Let's be real.
My hesitation with donating money directly is I've always been hesitant to donate money to nonprofit organizations in general because I suppose I feel like if we look into that book Soul of Money, which you gave to me so brilliantly, the concern I have with being directly philanthropic is I don't know exactly what that money is being utilized for. So I would always prefer to, and have done, and gone and donated my time.
Yeah.
So if there's a way perhaps that I can physically get myself involved in this, and I don't know what that is, I'm going to think about this, but rather than donating money, I prefer to go and actually put my hands into something, or give care, or make a meal for someone, or I've volunteered at a soup kitchen in the past, or gone to animal sanctuaries and actually helped clean up after the animals. I much prefer getting a hands-on approach rather than just giving money and not really knowing where that money is going.
Well, I'm going to hold you accountable for that.
No, I know.
Because I think a lot of people donate money because they don't have the time to put into it.
Well,
but I do want to mention that, a lot of these organizations do say specifically on their site what they're going to do with the money. And so you can actually go onto the different websites and find out exactly where it's going to go. Of course, we never know for sure. But I would think that someone like Compassionate Care would hold themselves accountable for doing what they're saying. So I want to research it more. And I would love to hear from you in the comment sections, not only what you would like to do, but why and what research have you done. And any more insight you want to add to this would be phenomenal. But you were about to say we wanted to call out a couple of our friends and our influential people in the health and vegan worlds.
Yeah. So
there's two people we're really excited about to bring it out, and I don't think this is going to be the first time they've been called out. So we want to hold them accountable. And we're saying they don't have to do the ice bucket challenge, right? Because I don't think we're going to do it. I think that this video is our ice bucket
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we don't need to do the physical act
Yeah,
of throwing ice over our heads. I feel
neither
like,
do they.
Yeah, neither do they. But it's a call again to continue the conversation of getting people's unique opinions, their perspectives, so we can have a conversation about this. If we're talking about awareness, there's many more ways to generate awareness than the act of pouring the ice over one's head. Having a dialogue is important.
The people we want to hear from, I'll start with Fully Raw Kristina. We absolutely adore her. We think she's amazing. She has changed so many lives. So Kristina, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Why haven't you done it? And what are you thinking about the whole ice bucket challenge and the ALS, and what have you found? We'd love to hear video response from you.
And another super powerful crusader in the health and natural food world, Vani Hari, Food Babe. Vani, we love you. It's always great to hang out with you and learn from you. You're absolutely an amazing bastion of truth and goodness in this world, all the changes you're making. And we're curious how you feel about all the layers of this. Of course, all the points we've discussed.
She probably has a lot to say.
You probably do have a lot to say, as you always
so
do.
So we would love to hear it. And not just writing, but she's so great on camera too. So Vani, make a video, even if it is just a 30-second video. And this goes to everybody watching, right? We would love to hear from all of you. So link to your responses, link to your blog posts, your social media posts, whatever you have. Let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep doing the research. Let's keep bringing awareness to this important matter of ALS, of animal testing, of water conservation, everything that goes along with it. I think this has become an incredible opportunity for us to really get clear on all of this. And
focus on progress and focus on how are we going to move this forward, right? Not doing the things we used to do and expecting new results, but taking all this money, all this abundance, all this attention, and doing something progressive with it.
Yep.
And that's our opinion. That's our perspective.
Thank you so much for watching today, for taking the time. I know this has been a long-winded video, and we have a lot more that we could say, but like I said, I will put more information on ecovegangal.com for you to research, for you to reference, and for us to keep the conversation going. You can find us on social media networks where we've been talking about this, and we would love to hear from you there. The links are right down below. And with that said, we are out. I'm sorry there's no surprise ice bucket, but there really isn't. We're going to go for a hike now, I guess.
We could always put Evie in the ice bucket.
No, that would be cruel.
That would be cruel. That's why we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
I was kidding, by the way. I would never throw her in the ice bucket.
Okay. Thanks you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for your compassion and your awareness around this subject matter.